Or welcome to Card Knock Life Plays. This time we're going to be trying out the black-green Infect deck. There have been murmurings of this deck kind of rising up as the Infect deck of choice lately. Blue-green was huge when it had Gitaxian Probe and before Fatal Push was printed, and then as soon as those cards showed up, there's just almost no Infect. So now that people aren't expecting Infect, there's little to be done against it, and I think that is probably a pretty strong choice. In fact, Daryl agreed that if he were to take a deck to a tournament this coming weekend or the previous weekend, Infect would be a good choice given the amount of Jeskai that there is out there, which causes a lot of the combo decks to come out of the woodwork, and Tron. And so Infect is really strong against Tron and combo. Not so great against Jeskai. However, this black deck has Phyrexian Crusader in it, which is one of the big draws to be playing black, and this card is really good against Jeskai. All of the removal spell is blanked by its protection from red and white. And so, spoiler alert, you will get to see this card in action against Jeskai in one of these games that I'm about to play. The other draws to this deck are it gets to play main deck discard like Inquisition and Thoughtseize, which is really cool. This one only has Inquisition in the main, though I've seen plenty that have Thoughtseize in the main. I've got it in the side here. I should give credit to, let's see here, who was playing this one. This was Ryan Nosseris on MTG Top 8. Played this at a PTQ to a second place finish. So I picked this deck up, the exact same 75 that Ryan Nosseris was playing in his event. I'm seeing a couple of other finishes from Jose Cabezas and Egod. 2894. Both of those two decks are playing very similar to one another with a totally different sideboard than the one you see here. Rhinoceros has got like some Dryad Arbors and some Sylvan Scrying, a little bit more of a creative sideboard than I'm used to seeing with this deck, but many of them are going into like Abrupt Decays and Liliana the Last Hope, which I think I might like better. Collective Brutality as well, things like that. Maelstrom Pulse, typical like kind of rock sideboard cards. So this one's interesting. I'm not a big fan of Grafdigger's Cage in general, but I figured I'd give it a shot. I think oftentimes it's sort of a distraction from what you want to be doing, and I don't really feel like I need to board it in against Snapcaster Mage decks and things like that. However, the graveyard decks like Hollow One probably pose a pretty big threat to this one because they've just got so many creatures to block. But it doesn't have many flying creatures that aren't tapped all the time because the Phoenixes have to attack. So I should be able to get in with like my Inkmoth Nexuses and things like that against that deck. I'm not sure what to expect there. A couple interesting things that Rhinoceros decided to run. Hashep Oasis, which makes the Sylvan Scrying package a little bit toolboxy. You can grab Hashep Oasis or Pendelhaven. It's also got the Inkmoth Nexuses, of course, so that's another good target for Sylvan Scrying. Fatal Push proves to be pretty relevant because we don't have the unblockable guy in this deck, the blue creature that the blue-green Infect deck plays. So we have a flyer in Plague Stinger, but there's often a lot of flyers that can get in the way of it. So having some Fatal Pushes is pretty useful. Rancor is pretty cool. I really always loved this card and think that it's super strong in this deck because giving Trample is very, very relevant. But what we lack is like the Distortion Strikes and things like that. So the Trample is more relevant in this deck than it is in blue-green. We still run Noble Hierarch because it's just so good here. However, it makes the black mana a little tough for like Phyrexian Crusader when you're running only 20 lands, 1 swamp, and a few colorless lands in Inkmoth Nexus. So having a Birds of Paradise is kind of a necessary evil here, although it seems to be like the worst card in the deck. I'd like to come up with a way around that. Some of the other decks are running Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. I'd probably try that instead to get that black mana for your Crusader. But in general, most of your spells cost 1 green symbol. So having like a bunch of Overgrown Tombs is usually the right thing to do. Anyways, thanks for watching. We are going to try this deck. If you're interested in trying it yourself, go to manatraders.com, use our promo code CardKnockLife, one word, at checkout for 14% off your first 4 months, and you can be playing your own black-green Infect deck for as long as you want, and then just return the cards and play blue-green Infect if you like that one better. So you've got options. All right, well, we're going to get going.